Whether you're new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect for you.
Hall of Famer, Mr. Panozzo.
Where?
Show the ring, buddy. Show the ring.
I don't wear. I only wear it to bed.
That was just a reminder, just so that way she knows, Mike. I like it. I like it. It's all about the mess.
Excuse me, Hall of Famer over here, dear.
Yeah.
Needs a little attention.
I get the remote tonight. How are you, buddy?
Good. Everything's good.
Yeah. How's how you been taking in the last couple days? All the events going on in different time zones.
Well, the night games in LA come on a little bit late for me, but the earlier games in Philadelphia, and oh, you're talking pool?
Oh, pool! Oh, this is the pool show. Although I said I can get into baseball, man. It's been a fun postseason. I'll tell you that. So far,
oh, it's great postseason. And honestly, not to get off the subject, but I'm so glad the Yankees are out. It just
come on. Nobody wants to watch fucking. Listen, nobody wants to watch fucking Toronto. I know they got a hot offense and everything, and they got a pretty solid, starting pitching.
I just hate the narrative on we have to watch the Yankees because it's New York and they got Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge has his big moment by hitting a game-tying home run in the fourth fucking inning. Give me a break. I had to hear about Aaron Judge all night because he hit a tying home run in the fourth inning. I mean, come on, really?
Well, like when
they just force it down your throat and make you believe that the other teams aren't watching. I was looking at ESPN today. They had highlight clips from last night's game, right?
Yeah.
Toronto won 5-2 to win the series. There were 6 small video clips posted. 4 of them were on the Yankees.
It kind of, you know what? There's a lot of
nobody knows anything about it.
Oh, Mike, I can substitute Yankees for some pool players, buddy. You know what I mean? Like I can
name one.
Let's talk more. Let's talk more championships first. Oh man, you baited me right into that one, man. Fuck, I don't even know why I even stepped into it. There's a lot of parallels. There's a lot of parallels for sure, Mike. I love postseason baseball. There's nothing more.
I do too.
Exciting. I love watching the moves the managers make. I love watching excellent pitching. Every bat is under pressure. There's like so many things that I can really just appreciate when it comes to postseason baseball. Especially like this like smaller series compared to like way back when we had the best of 7 from the jump or whatever, best of 5 from the beginning. It's like
it was always best of 7 from the jump. It was only 2 rounds. There was and before that it was just 1 round. It was just the World Series. The playoffs were created for more television, and now we've got like 12 teams in the playoffs. But yeah, best of 5 are kind of fun. It's really lose a game. Best 7. You can drop a game at home and still get out of it. But yeah, the best of 5s are it's pretty cutthroat.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. That fit. I was really looking forward to that Philly LA series, and it's been awesome to watch over the last couple of days. I thought Philly would take a jump on them given their starting 5, and LA has just been intense. So I'm excited to see that one come to a finish. When is the next game tonight? Do they have another one tonight?
Tonight. Tonight for the Dodgers and Phillies. Tonight for the Cubs and Brewers, and then
Brewers are going to be rough to beat. They're going to be a tough out for sure. That
yeah,
offense is.
They got to keep the Cubs from getting back into it, but I'd love to see the Brewers win myself. I just think that would be fun.
You got the best of both worlds in that series, buddy. Being from Chicago, I know you're a Sox fan, unfortunately, and then you're in Wisconsin now, so you got Milwaukee.
So it's like Brewers. I'm a Sox fan.
There you go. All right, let's jump into the pool for a little bit, Mike. We're already 5 minutes deep and haven't talked 1-9.
We'll come back
or 1-10 ball. Yeah, we'll get into good stuff later on. We'll talk MLB playoffs a little later. World Championships, Mike, Hanoi Open. There's a lot of stuff to dive into. I don't know where you want to start. Let me ask you, which one do you think
We
is
can start
more
with the
fun to
world.
hear?
We can start with the World Championships. I mean, they finished the world doubles, men's handball. That the Taiwanese won, which is generally no surprise, but it's not who you would figure the world number one Taiwanese team to be, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Kunlun Wu has had an amazing, he's played amazing in the past year for sure. But that wouldn't be your in most years your top Taiwanese team. Chia Chen Sai, another really good player. But yeah, that was
He's
good on. It was
he's like
great to see.
a 5 through 8 guy, Chen. In my opinion, it's Chang
Yeah,
Lin passing away. It's that's where I feel like he got the nod, unfortunately. But that was kind of poetic in the sense that like Taiwan goes and wins it. They took an early loss in that event, Mike, and then they were when I was watching, I think it was last night, at least scoreboard watching, they were down like 2-0, if I'm not mistaken, and then ended up coming back and winning to keep their tournament hopes alive, and then end up snapping the whole thing off. So it was a pretty
yeah. Well,
solid.
they stormed through Canada in the final. It was 3 sets and they weren't close. Uh, so, but cool to see Canada in there. Alex always makes an event more fun. He always makes a match more fun. So, and they historically have not done well, like in World Cup of Pool. John and Alex.
Consistently underperformed by their standards.
Yeah, consistently first round out, most of the time. But so it was great to see them have a good run. I mean, they knocked off a couple of really good teams. They won a
Great teams, Mike.
shootout. So it's great to see them do well. Always a lot of fun. So congratulations to them for sure.
I want to jump into the beginning for you for a minute, Mike, because we haven't done a show in a couple of days. But to start off the event, whenever we were kind of previewing the other day, it was, we were kind of going off teams, and I forgot about one team. Then you think about them, and it's like, oh, there's, that's got to be a favorite. You think about Germany, and then you mentioned
Gotcha.
Albania,
Yeah.
the Philippines, who you always expect to go deep, and that was a storyline for me. At least whenever I first tuned in, it was Germany and the Philippines going out day one, Mike. I was shocked by that. What would you attribute that to, Mike? Would you say?
Well, I mean, neither one of them had what you would consider to be their A team either, right? If you're putting if you're selling a real, I mean, a world championship where every country can pick the best players and it's not political and it's not, one tour or the other, it's not going to be the Philippine team to play. So, it's that wasn't a huge shock. And then obviously, Germany, Felix Vogel is going to be a great player, but um, you know, uh, he's not the second best German player either, right? So
That was the
I
one
think
for me, Mike. That I had a hard time seeing. Like I was just blown away, and it kind of brings me to like a bigger point here, Mike, where we've kind of seen. Listen, we've seen Filler make stars of great players, right? Christoph comes to mind years ago whenever he won
yeah,
the Cup of Pool, and then you think about Moritz. Basically, in my opinion, kind of putting him on the map because at that time he was kind of an unknown commodity as well. We're both of us are real high in terms of Felix. I think I'm a little higher on the kid right now
yeah.
than you are. But I was shocked by that, Mike. And I wonder if it's just a bigger kind of picture in terms of like Filler kind of tapering off compared to the dominance that we've seen over the last, 8 years or so.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the Germans grew up playing a lot of team event type stuff, so I wouldn't think that it would be a situation of Felix, just not feeling comfortable because it's a doubles event and that type of thing. Because I think they
Yeah.
play a lot of that in their league system there. So yeah, a little bit of a surprise there. I mean, to me, the biggest surprise was Kachi and Kachi losing to Alex and John.
Well, that
The
was
two,
a great
the two
match.
Kachis, monsters firing on all cylinders for the most part. You thought they were going to be a really, really tough out. And they were. I mean, it went to a shootout. I couldn't miss the first shot. That was the end of the line for them. So that to me was the team that I was most surprised didn't get deeper.
They were kind of the heartfelt story for me, Mike, was Canada, and I think it's just because of the lack of finishes that we've seen, especially compared to the draw that Alex is in particular. You know what I mean? Now John's a great player as well, but everyone loves Alex and always has and always will. And so we always kind of like root for him to go deep and everything, and so to kind of see that come on the main stage in this tournament for me was pretty great. I got to watch I think it was the last like 3 sets of Albania in Canada, and at the time, Canada was up 2-0, and I'm just thinking,
Right.
this is where I think Canada's going to shit the bed. You know what I mean? And I think they're going to fall flat. And when Albania forced the shootout, I thought for sure, I would have bet a heavy decent, like if you were to go and handicap it off of a money line, considering the momentum they had going into that, I would have put a massive price on Albania to go and close out, especially when you consider the fact that like we're both pretty high in terms of like the sharpshooting ability, the sharpshooting ability of the Albanians. Like they are razor sharp as far as their execution. And I know the spot shot's a little gaffy, but it's kind of like in that same kind of isolated type zone in terms of pool. You know what I mean? Where it's just one shot for your entire life. And like you mentioned, when Kachi missed that first one, that was all she wrote. And kudos to John and Alex for closing out, because they don't have like what I would consider like the straightest of strokes, but they buried those balls, Mike.
Yeah, they did. They did. Yeah, it was surprising to see them shoot so straight and to see Kachi, shoot so poorly on the first shot. Because the Kachis, especially coming from that snooker background, they don't spot shots are probably like right in their wheelhouse. But it was a fun event. It was not World Cup of pool level to me. To just excitement wise, I don't know why that is. Maybe atmosphere, whatever. But still, cool event. Kudos to Predator for that on.
Yeah, I mean, I love we're not calling it a resurrection because this is like the first time that we've seen it, right? But like we've been thirsty for some Scotch doubles World Cup of pool style event.
Yeah.
I agree with you, and it's an interesting take because like World Cup of pool historically never really draws much of a crowd. You know what I mean? So like it's not
crowd wise, no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But so like it doesn't really draw, like the atmosphere isn't because of the fans. It's more of the platform, the platform and the stage that Matchroom provide for that event, and that's where I feel like they kind of do a great job of like just kind of bringing it into more of like a premier type status. Like I appreciate it for what it was, Mike, and I agree with you. Like it wasn't the who's who when it comes to players, but at the same time, like when it comes to drama, and I thought like when you don't have name players like that, I expect more chalk, and this to me was far from chalk, Mike. I mean, even in terms of the winning team with Taiwan, if I were to gone just from the beginning, I mean, they would have probably been, without looking at a list in front of me, I mean, they probably would have been like a 4 or 5 seed. Yeah, is where I would. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and Canada, for that matter, I mean, they would have been, further back. I mean, they would have been to me, close to that. Dare I say, like American type tier? You know what I mean? No, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go like a 12 seed, but.
There were a lot of teams. There were 32 teams.
Was there? Was it that many?
There were a lot of teams. I don't know. Yeah. It was either 24 or 32.
But it was, listen, for me, like I mentioned, the John and Alex story was it for me. I mean, look, we haven't really seen them go deep in World Championships. We haven't seen them go deep in World Cup of pool. We have a certain expectation and standard. And even though it wasn't like the 2 Taiwanese players who we would have put in from the jump, for Canada to go and have that run that they did, beating Albania along the way, and they had some class wins, Mike. I mean, even Peru, for that matter, beating them in the semis was solid because Tevez and Gerson they looked like they were just full of heart, Mike. Where those two, I mean, they were just willing their way to victory, which was awesome. But all in all, I mean, time zone aside, and for me that was the biggest issue for me as far as like really getting into it, because I could
Yeah,
really
sure.
only get into it from the beginning, like at 10 o'clock at night, if I'm staying up, right, or if I'm waking up in the morning at 5 a.m. and then I'm just sweating from
Yeah,
sleep,
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but like the meat and potatoes, you can't really dive into. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So, but no, look, we like great storylines. Even whenever I talked to Vincent from Predator, we talked about like who we were kind of rooting for as far as like from the heart, who we want to see do well. For me, Wukong lands at the top of that list, Mike, for a variety of reasons. And
yeah,
seeing them take home a championship, and it's giving me goosebumps just kind of thinking about it, is always going to be special. But especially considering the year that they've had, it was,
yeah.
and the way they came back to win it. I mean, I know they demolished Team Canada, but to get to that point, like they had to really just show a lot of grit, Mike, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, they did. And yeah, I'm sure it meant a lot to Kunlun Wu for sure. I'd be interested to hear what he had to say afterwards.
You know what? I saw this reel on one of the Vietnamese channels when he was there at the Perry, and that dude speaks a lot better English than what I thought. I don't know how the fuck I've ever missed that over the years, but I've never really interviewed him, and I've always wanted to interview him. And ironically enough, like so, there's a few players who over the years of being at events that I've always wanted to talk to, and I never really did. And part of the reason why was because I kind of had a bit of scar tissue from having translators on because it can be just brutal. You know what I mean? Like having, and I'm sure you can appreciate it, Mike, especially when you're doing like a live interview. I mean, it's one thing when you're getting quotes,
Yeah,
but like when you're asking questions on the fly and you're hoping for a reaction and like to feel the moment and all these things
yeah,
being
right,
aligned.
right. You just don't get it because the
Oh
translator
man,
takes minutes to translate the question. The guy spends 40 seconds, coming up with
yeah.
an answer in Taiwanese, and then the translator says, "He said yes."
Yes, that's the part that really just like, that just tears me up because like I'm on the edge of my seat, right? And I'm waiting for like for those that 40 seconds to end, and they're going back and forth. I mean, they're
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
engaged, and then the translator, like you said, will just say, "Yes, he says she was nervous," and that's it. And you're like, "Fuck, he said a lot more. I know he said a lot more. Somebody help me out here. I know he said more." But no, Chang Jun Lin. So when I would be at events, there's like this tall guy from Predator who helps out with, and I don't know what his role is formally, but he's always there with the Chinese and Taiwanese players. Really tall guy. And I would always have to go. Like I would always know that I had to go through him to get the Chang because he was who
yeah,
was always rolling with them for one. And but I never got a chance to like really just dive into him the way that I always wanted to. I mean, I had a little bit of conversation with him, but it wasn't anything formal or on camera or anything like that. And so anyhow, but like to see Wu Kun Lin speak such good English, I'm gonna reach out to him. I think that dude's just he's always just smooth, man. I love his style personally. You know what I mean? Like he's always flashy in terms of like the way he comes out, and he looks the part. He's got a high skill set. You can tell that chemistry, especially with those like Final Four teams, was premier, Mike. Because you talk about a Polish team, which by the way they had three guys on their team, right?
yeah.
Team Poland did. And I messaged Conrad. I asked him. I said, well, how the hell do you guys have three players and everybody else has two? It's a bit unfair, you're right? I mean, just kidding, but it's like they said that I guess it was like a WPA thing where they had the option to, and they encouraged them to, and I kind of like it, Mike. I mean, a triples
Yeah,
with
no, I thought it's cool. You put in, you have to declare before the match, right? And you can't switch a player out in the middle of a match.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it was triples or if they were doubles because I didn't get to see a whole lot of their matches to be honest with you. But just from like seeing them
Yeah,
on there, was awesome. And that if, like I and it's interesting where in the sense of most players, Mike, no matter who you're turning to, like they're really, I hate to say it, but like and they're and it's deserving, but like they don't want to share their money, so like they don't want to have to split it an extra way if they don't have to,
three
right?
ways.
I mean,
Yeah,
come on,
yeah,
yeah, you know what I'm saying. So like for them to agree, one, and two, for them to still have like that pride in representing, and I love seeing that pride in representing your country, Mike. Like, and you can tell the ones that kind of go through the motions for a check and the ones who actually like they just live it, they
yeah,
breathe it, they want to go out there and show out. But Adam says he's got a great Mortal Kombat name, Wu Kun Lin. He's just cool, man. I'm a big fan of Wu Kun Lin. But no, Mike. All in all, I mean, it was a fun event. All things considered,
Yeah.
the pressure of Canada and Albania, that for me was the match of the tournament, Mike. Uh, I would have wanted to see Albania do well just because we were so high on them from the beginning, and I like the brother dynamic. I think like in a perfect world, maybe a Co versus Kachi final would have been great. But obviously the Co brothers weren't there, so Sesh says the Hanoi Open last 64 bracket is out. I'm gonna refresh because I've been.
Yeah, they were waiting for that final match to be done. Well, one thing there's going to be a lot of Vietnamese players playing other Vietnamese players and a lot of Filipinos playing other Filipinos.
Well, no, there's going to be a lot of Filipinos have a chance to tear apart the field because there's a lot of Filipinos on the winner's side. So we'll jump into that.
Right.
Here.
They'll get through the round of 64.
Yeah.
But at 30,
and then
they got to start with each other. Right.
But no. Anyway, congratulations to Team Taiwan. Congratulations to Team Canada, and even. Look, I got this sentimental thing for Latin American players for obvious reasons, Mike. And like I said,
Peruvian team was cool.
and Tevez, they really just played with some passion that I expected, but I still haven't seen results on a world stage. So for them to make a podium appearance, especially considering the 4 that were left, was pretty awesome, Mike, for me. So massive congratulations to them. There was also what else is going on, Mike? So I know they got the men's
women's world
10 ball,
right? So they're into the final 32, 16 on the winner side, 16 on the loser's side right now.
There's been some upsets, Mikey, like consistently throughout the tournament. Now I know men's A-ball hasn't delivered, but like women's compared to like name players versus second tier type players, there's been some like decent upsets, and you're gonna have a premier what could be a finals match in the women's with Wei Chu Shin against Cheska, Mike. That's gonna be a fucking phenomenal match. At least from like on paper, So and that's in the one loss side. So one of them is gonna be out.
Right, there's some good matches coming up for sure. Winter side is pretty, aside from a couple of those early losses for Wei Wei and Cheska, I think Shasha Liu also lost early. But the rest of the winter side is pretty much who you would expect. And if I'm counting right, I've got 7 non-Asian players in the last 32, which not really a surprise given where it's at and just given the talent level these days. Anyways, it's an Asian world in women's pool.
Look, it is, but then I still kind of feel like it isn't at the same time. I mean, listen, the defending champions, Christina, right? So you got to like show a little bit of love there for sure. And there's been a couple.
When you're looking at the very top, Christina, both Christinas really, Jasmine, then
she's been a surprise, Mike, for me over the last like 18 months or so. Like not to say that I know her pedigree, I know how great she is, but like she's been having like a resurgence in my opinion as far as like results. You know what I mean? Like kind of just really, really putting an emphasis back on her game compared to before. It seems like, at least in terms of like how she's been finishing anyway. You know what I mean? So I'm not talking about work ethic.
Yeah, she's been a resurgence, no doubt about it.
There's some great matches on tap in winners qualification. Christina Tkach facing I don't even know who that player is, to be honest with you. But Pia, Singaporean player. Pia against Seao, Christina Slateva against Bing. Like there's a great mix of girls that we are accustomed to seeing, courtesy of the WPBA.
Rita Chow against Kelly Fisher.
It's a great matchup. Like that could be a final as well.
That's a great matchup. You and Kawahara, who won recently, her first,
no kidding,
decent win in Indies. Yeah, it's got some great match, and then you've got the loser side. It's got Wei Wei, Cheska, April Larson's still in it. She's on the loser side. Margaret Steyer. So Susanna Liu. So a lot of a lot of owned women's World 10 ball. It should be really good rest of the way. And then the World 8 ball just got underway as well.
Yeah.
Um, the one thing that I did notice out of that was Lee Van took it on the chin early. He was in one of those opening round matches before the WPBA favored sons got dropped in.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and like Shane already played 2 matches because he had to start in that part of the event as well. So so that things just starting to get underway there.
Yeah, I haven't really like dived into the 8 ball like as far as getting any kind of investment in there emotionally or anything. Like the the doubles event obviously for it starting off, and then just like the upsets was something I was keeping an eye on, looking through, and really this is the first time I'm really like diving into the bracket for the women's. I mean, there's a lot of really great matchups that are going to be happening tomorrow.
Yeah,
Check out
really good.
Pro Barrier TV, and kudos to them because I love the way they've pushed not pushed the players, but given them an option, and players have really taken advantage of streaming their matches to build their brands, and it really just
Yeah.
allows the fans for a better tournament type experience. Mike, kudos to April for
Oh, it's
carrying the
great.
red, white, and blue. I mean, I was rooting for Savannah, but she had a brutal draw, man.
Yeah,
And losing to Cheska this evening. Although she did have a great win over Barana, who snapped off that big WPBA event. I think it was last year,
yeah,
Mike,
yeah. Early last year. Yeah.
at the end of the year or something.
Um, I think like mid-year or so, was it, or was it? Maybe it was the end of the year.
I
It
think it
was
was
late. It
the end
was
of the
late.
year, and she was
Yeah.
like, I mean, we knew of her, but we wouldn't have touted her to win that event, and so I
No,
was,
no, that was a pretty big surprise. It was
yeah,
kind of like the event that Amber Chen won. It's like, okay,
yeah,
she's a really good player, but we didn't kind of see that one coming as far as getting through the finals. So it'd be a tough road here for any player. Hoping to get through here. This is a really good field. Really
One
good
thing
field.
I especially appreciate about what they've done with the women is that they're getting the best players on the planet there, Mike. Like consistently. Like there's not if I think about the men and even in this event, right? Like seeing Han Yu and Sha there, my my heart wants me to see Wu there, right? So like how come I can't get a Chinese team for the men,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But for the
yeah.
women, to their credit, it's really just like you look at it, that's a
The
world
fields
class.
are the best fields. Yeah, they're the best fields you could hope for. You look at these big women's event. There's nobody missing.
Yeah, no kidding, Mike. I mean, I'm thoroughly appreciating that. So I'll be sweating that, especially towards the end. Obviously, Cheska's always going to be exciting to watch. Rublin, Shasha. There's a couple of other Filipinos that I don't know of, but I want to know more of them, like Denise Santos, who I've heard a lot of really solid things about. Obviously, there's like a ton of Taiwanese players, and then there's usual suspects. Mike's Kelly Fisher is there now. I saw Allison on the draw, Mike. I wonder why she didn't show up because I saw a couple of like forfeits. I wonder if it was just like travel issues or if she declined an invitation or what was up with that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not sure. Well, her name wouldn't be on there if she declined it. Was her name on there?
Yeah, that was the thing I was surprised. So I saw the name on there, right? I saw her name on there, obviously, and you know who Allison Fisher is, right? Everybody does,
Yeah.
but and then she had a tough opening round matchup against Amber Chin, and then I saw they put it as disqualified, which is interesting because before they would put like NS for no show or
Well, yeah,
FE
that's what in
forfeit.
fact, I messaged Vincent to find out the difference between forfeit and disqualified because I saw
Well,
that with
well, what do
Jeffrey
you say?
Ignacio in the men's World 8 ball was listed as disqualified as opposed to forfeit. So I haven't heard back, but I'm curious as to what the difference is in that as well.
Yeah, same, Mike. And I was gonna text him, but I know he told me before going over there that he was gonna be underneath it. Just they're coming from basically back to back events with their team as well. So I just kind of let it be. But it's Allison would have been a threat clearly. You know what I mean? Like not just for her being an American rooting for, but like or like the new American, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like she still has a lot of gas left in that tank, and I just love seeing her play. So
Yeah.
like the fan in me, but nevertheless, you're going to be able to check out the ending of that. Pro Bear TV, check, follow a bunch of player pages as well. You guys can check out their matches all throughout the tournament. I know Christina Sateva does a lot of streaming and things like that also. But it's just a cool event, Mike. And to Nadami's credit, I would love to see like this women's double, by country, the same way that the men's had it this year, Mike. That'd be a cool twist as well. So, um,
Yeah.
and I like different formats that we've talked about before. So we'll see what happens. The men's 8 ball, like I said, I'm not really the field of players isn't the deepest, right? Let's just be honest about it. So like
In the men's World 8 ball?
in the men's 8 ball, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
No, it's like, I mean, it's both events, this event and the one in Hanoi suffered depth-wise. But the world, I think, to me, the World 8 ball is even a little bit almost weaker.
in Hanoi, you mean? Or
Than Hanoi.
what,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
oh yeah,
The fill-in ones, that are, I don't know if it was players that were chosen from around the world. Obviously, you've really gotten, uh, away from the top talent, and so, yeah, it just when you look through the first couple rounds of 8 ball, you're like, holy cow, who are these people? And maybe we just don't know who the good players around the world are, which is quite possible because there's a lot of them. But really, really, really top heavy, really top heavy.
This is where, listen, I'll look at it in terms of a potential versus. I mean, the knock is clear, right? Because it's not the greatest of things. You know what I mean? But um, the potential of like if all things were open and equal would be cool because you could have these like NCAA 16 seeds that I mean they're going to be up against it, but like with the swing at upsetting a top seeded team, you know what I mean? But like I don't want to miss out on top seeded teams, and we're doing that right now, given the politics and overlapping events and whatever else, you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think that's where there's opportunity, but like the foundation of having like the men's Scotch 10 ball and the World 8 ball, considering like, look, I would love to see a bunch of UK players come in for the World 8 ball, because there's some like,
Yeah,
UK's
sure.
is known for their 8 ball prowess, you know what I mean? So like, I would love to see a field like that. And I would love to see guys who we traditionally consider, rotation players go up against them like a Tom Cousins type or whatever, you know what I mean? Chris Smelling, guys like that, even Darren, you know what I mean? And see what they could do against like because they have so much experience playing 8 ball fundamentally, you know what I mean? And play patterns so well and whatever else. So
Yeah.
a lot of potential, but at this point it's a little flat for me, Mike. Just we'll
Well,
see.
like someone commented, though, the tournament over there is a $70,000 top prize in a really nice natural beach, as opposed to Hanoi, which is a 40,000 top prize and a very unnatural, beach right now.
Look, let me tell you, I have thoroughly listen. You know me, Mike. I love seeing shit talking and jabs, right, Mike? Like it's just,
Yeah.
especially because the sport's just so dry. But like I've thoroughly enjoyed, especially some of the Polish guys, where they're like, and even Albin and Josh and all these guys, where they're like, yeah, it's tough out here right now. These conditions are brutal, and they're like on a beach, laid out, getting tan.
Yeah. Here's Moritz walking through knee deep water, and Jason Shaw with a mop in his hand and a picture
By
of
the way,
Josh
somebody needs to get Moritz like a shot after swimming in that water, Mike. I mean,
I swear.
I wouldn't want to be swimming in that water. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
uh,
Meanwhile, Josh is on the beach with a coconut in his hand. It's like a coconut in a straw.
On the table, right? Like he's weighing out the shot, drinking fresh coconut water there. I mean, it's the funniest thing. And even whenever I woke up that morning, like, look, listen, kudos to Matchroom for catching up in terms of matches because they were behind considering the start. And we saw the delay. Thankfully, Yeah, I mean, a whole day is brutal, Mike, when it comes to a tournament. I mean, even like, even if you start fresh, and I know they do a great job of scheduling and all these things, but that was just, no pun intended, but like a storm waiting to happen with,
Yeah,
in terms of being set back. You know what I mean? So for them to be able to
right.
catch up today like they did, or the last 2 days rather, massive pat on the back for them and kudos to them, because that is not an easy task. I'm sure there was a lot of the last 2 days were extremely long for them, and really nerve wracking, I'd imagine, Mike. So,
Yeah,
but it was a little funny seeing like the Polish guys just laid out on the beach, and and then
yeah.
and then you think other players they're showing views from like their hotel when like everything's flooded and raining, and you're like, fuck, man, I wonder where they wish they were right now, So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
but what were some storylines that you were looking at over the last couple of days, considering the Hanoi Open started, Mike, outside of like the obvious weather delay and things like that?
Well, just it was really interesting to see. We saw 30 something Filipino players in there, and 30, even more than that, Vietnamese players in there. So you just wondered what kind of, we've talked about it a bunch of times, how strong the Asian players are to start with. And now we're getting to see them more often because there's more of these big opportunities in Asia for these big international events.
Right.
And they're coming out of the woodwork. And, you just, from one event to the next, you're just less and less surprised by how many of these guys are going deep in the event, right? So, we've always joked over the years about the Philippine cab drivers, having like 700 Fargos. So here you got 33 of them here. And by my count, there's, 17 in the final 64. That's pretty good. So I think 13 of
Great.
them came through the winners. 13 of them came through the winners bracket, right? The same with a lot of Vietnamese players in there as well. So that's I like seeing that for a couple of reasons, because I like seeing new talent. I like seeing the aspirational value for
Bingo.
these, getting the opportunity to go out and show what they can do on an international stage when most of us don't know who they are. And also, obviously, the promoters, whether it's Matchroom, Predator, whatever, you get into these parts of the country. If you're sticking your toe in Indonesia, you're sticking your toe in Vietnam, you're happy when those players do really well, because it draws so many more fans, so much more interest from that part of the world. So it's been fun to watch, and there's plenty of Filipino fans, players in the last 64.
The aspirational part, Mike, I want to hold on to with every bit of strength and grip that I have, Mike, because like that's the part that is the future. You know what I mean? That is the potential for new blood and for new storylines. And while while going into the event, I was a little bit shocked given how many were coming through the qualifiers to get into 256. I think like the economic challenges that certain countries face are just gonna are it's gonna lend itself more to more opportunity for these guys who may not listen for whatever reason, right? Whether it's financial or whatever, right? I may not get an opportunity to go and compete on a stage like this, but I have the skill set, right, to maybe cause some waves. But the way that it's kind of come through, especially the last couple of events, Mike. I mean, listen, if you talk about an open world event in Asia, this is going to be the new norm. This is the new standard. You are going to have more fresh eyes, and you can talk to anybody, Mike. You can talk to Taiwanese players, and I mean top guys. You can talk to the Cole brothers. You can talk to Chua, Beato. You can talk to Filipinos, whoever, Mike. They're going to tell you, man, you haven't seen anything yet. Because they're so deep, but it's just they don't get a chance to go out there and compete. And this is where you're starting to see like that's the reality, Mike.
It also seems like this is where the money's at for promoters too. These
What do you mean,
countries are
Mike?
getting behind these events. That they can come up with 5, 6 big international events in Asia every year, which is great. And to me, the important part of that is you want to develop these players and start giving them money, because I want to see these players when we have the Florida Open. I want to see these players when we have the UK Open. I want to see. I don't want to do players in Asia, right? I want to see them get out there into parts of the world that make them a little uncomfortable,
It's fair.
and
Yeah.
make all this, make these world events really world events like we're hoping for. So that's the other part of the equation. You just don't want them to all sit and cherry pick these Asian events. I want to see these guys playing at the U.S. Open.
That's a great, yeah, that would be a great tournament for sure to see this type of like influx of that type of unknown but certainly potential type players. You know what I mean? And I thoroughly agree with you, Mike. And we'll see as more money gets pumped in and out of those events out there in Asia. I think it's only the beginning, especially considering like the youth. And we talked about this with the Europeans, but I think like there's you can carry that same flag over for Asian young players as well. There's
Guaranteed.
a ton of potential.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. So it's a lot of things to be keeping an eye on, Mike. I've been hearing from some players and from insiders out there in Vietnam that conditions are absolutely fucking brutal, Mike. I've been hearing a lot of complaints for how hot it is in the venue. The conditions are just brutal to go and fade. It's the one thing that
Well, between the heat and also now with all the flooding, the humidity, the tables have to be like, you could probably surf on them. So yeah, it's gonna be tough, but listen, that happens too. I
what
mean, in most sports, you're gonna have some tough conditions.
Yeah, I think like this is as close as we're gonna get to like when you go from clay to grass, right? Or from one golf course to another, right? And being able to adapt, and that's one thing that um, I love about great players is just seeing their ability to navigate the field, even considering the conditions. Like one of them will use it as an excuse, and then there's another type of player who will use that as, you know what, I'm just gonna suck it up. It is what it is, and I got a job to do. And I love that kind of
Right,
attitude. Um, as
right.
well, Mike. It is extremely difficult for some players. It's going to be even more interesting to see as the week progresses because you're going to have more fans in there. Which to this point, I really haven't seen many fans in that arena, Mike. And so to have that mix of the heat and the conditions, brighter lights with TV tables, and then you bring in a bunch of fans as well. It's like I think the tough part of that tournament is coming up as opposed to being behind players at this point, Mike.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and like I said, you got to deal with. I mean, it's you don't want to see that necessarily. And we can compare it to football, we can compare it to
Yeah.
golf, we can compare it to whatever. Where you watch British Open, in golf, and sometimes and snow hats and whatever conditions that you have to play in. And something like pool, if this was a snooker event, they'd be up in arms. It would be, they like their tables heated and proper lighting on every table and all that. But this is what you have to just deal with in pool. You just have to learn how to go ahead and handle it. So and get used to it because it's going to be
Yeah.
every bit that bad when they go to Manila. So
Because
yeah,
it's going to be difficult. And that was, listen, when when I had a buddy of mine message me and when he brought up the heat and the conditions and players and blah blah blah, and I was like, well, how is it compared to last year, right? Because I've only, I was there last
right.
year in Hanoi, and it was tough. I mean, listen, obviously I'm not a fucking pool player, but even just being there, like in normal regular clothes, right, and even like if I'm wearing a tank top or whatever, like it was hot, man. I could only imagine when you would include that with, and this is me living on the water, Mike. Like I'm used to humidity, I'm used to heat, I'm used to
Yeah,
shitty conditions, being at a pool room down by the bay. And so for them to have to go out there and then compete on top of that under the bright lights, be on your feet the entire time, like it is a tall ask, not ideal for anyone. But I do love seeing like it'll lend itself to more like upsets and be more favorable versus like towards some Asian players versus like Europeans or especially Americans, and we're kind of seeing that with like Tyler going whatever it was 3 and out in this tournament. But like it's this is like modern pool, you know what I mean? And you're gonna have to sometimes get the best of it and get ideal. Sometimes you're gonna get the worst of it in terms of conditions, but you got to be able to fade it. And the resiliency and the Asian players' ability to adapt because they live it, they breathe it, they play there every day is obviously going to be more favorable to them. Skill set aside. So,
Yeah.
um, anyhow, Mike, what were some takeaways you had from players that were coming through, players that lost? I'm going to turn off the chat here for a little bit while we do that, and I'm going to bring up the final 64 draw also.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who didn't make the final 64 that I would have expected. I have to take a look at the, aside, like we said, Tyler was kind of a quick out.
There was a lot of players who were getting sent to the one loss side early on, but there was also a lot of great players who were showing some resiliency in their own right. Mike, Billy comes to mind, him making it through with some tough matches, and he's had some significant wins, Mike, as well. And so
after a loss to win a must-win match, that was good for him.
Didn't he beat Alexa to Perry?
Yeah, he beat him at Perry as well.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
And I do know why Jeffrey Ignacio was disqualified from the World 8-ball because he's playing here. Yeah. He just got knocked out. He just got knocked out in Hanoi. So now we know the difference between disqualified and forfeit.
You guys can check out the bracket at WNTLivescores.com. The final 64 single elimination bracket is up. This is the top part of it right here, or part of it anyway.
I think Victor was the other guy not see through the last 64, although he had a tough draw and lose qualification having to play Jonas. So one of them was going to be sitting at home, and that was going to be a tough match for either one. But look at who's through to the 64. I'm glad to see Billy there, Lucas there, Sky there. So here's 3 out of your 5 Team USA guys for the Macedonian. Fetter, that's 4. So there's 4 out of your 5 guys right there. Want to make a bet?
I feel like I'm getting bullied here, Mike. Is what I feel like. I feel like you got some insider information here on that one. No, the writing, the writing's on the wall for sure. But listen, some guys we just expect. Federer, obviously, Huang beating his fellow teammate from Vietnam early today, 9-0, which was great on him. Moritz obviously coming through. Long Duck the end, beat Billy earlier, and that guy. For me, Mike, this is the guy in Vietnam who I'm really looking at every match is Thien, because I think he's the next big thing now in terms of like social media presence and whatever else that Huang has over him. I don't think you can compare it, but like for me, when you look at just the way that he plays the game, that kid Thien is fucking strong, Mike. I mean, real strong.
Yeah, so he's really good. He's really good. With the final 64 out, the match that jumps out right away is Chua and Jonas.
Mike, but before we get there, Mike, if we can you see what I got on screen here?
Yeah.
What are you looking at from these matches here? And then I'll kind of cruise through a little bit more for the other.
Okay, yeah, we can start at the top. Well, Sky and Roberto Gomez, you gotta think Sky, favorite in that, but that's a tough opening ask in the round of 64.
The one that really jumps out at me on here, Mike, is at the bottom. Arsini and FSR.
Arsini and Trent. Yeah, that match is not going to take long. I don't know who's going to win, but it's not going to take long.
You want to talk about a match that has just trap written all over it. Now, I hate to be victim of the moment. You know what I mean? But that kid from Finland, when we saw him at the U.S. Open, just completely come on the map out of nowhere, Mike. And even his U.S. campaign prior to, like whenever he was making the rounds, you kind of saw him go through brackets a little deeper than expected because we didn't know who he was. But that's the one for me. Looking at this one, where I'm just like, that's the one I got my eye on. The Roberto Sky one, it's got all the makeup of a marquee matchup. They got a lot of experience playing each other. Both of them are from Texas at this point.
That'll be a fun match to watch too.
It is, yeah, for sure. But I'm going to give the edge to Sky in that one, just from what he's been accomplishing lately and the run that he had out there in Da Nang. But to me, looking at everything else, at least in this first part of the bracket, it's all kind of it's a little bit chalk for me, Mike. To be honest with you.
You'd think so. There's some matches where I'm looking at it, I'm not sure where the chalk is. Uh, you know.
Well, I mean, like I would fancy the left side, at least in that top part. Now, when I scroll down a little bit more, Billy's got his hands full with Cheng Yu Long. That's going to be a matchup you're going to want to take a look at as well, Mike, because
the left side was all the winners bracket qualifiers.
Yeah, and then the right side's coming in through loser qualification. Yeah. Emil Gangflat against Fraser Pratchett. Fraser Pratchett's been playing really great pool lately over the last 6 months as well, Mike. He's kind of put himself on the map with his WNT tour also. A lot of Filipinos, like you mentioned, Mike, that Jonas and Chua one, that's going to be another box office one. That matchup, I'm sure, is going to be highlighting for tomorrow, Mike, for sure.
Yeah. And they got Lucas on a TV table, which is nice to be able to watch him, and he'll get some.
Is he on TV table?
It's on table one, not the main TV table. Main TV table is going to be Chua and Jonas, but table one, there's they've got a couple of TV tables.
Let me tell you, if they're putting that matchup on TV table, that kid's
you think that's an indicator?
That kid's getting sized up for a jersey, Mike. Trust me, I know how that matchroom train works a little bit, Mike. Not a lot, but just a little bit. If they're putting that kid on TV table, they're taking some photographs with him in a USA jersey. I can guarantee you. Taking a look here, Mike, as I scroll through Roland Garcia against Patrick Gonzalez, Mike. There's so many Filipinos in this one, like you mentioned. So many Vietnamese players as well. Jason Shaw still here, Mike. He's been dominating. I think he's dropped 3 racks through 3 matches. I want to get your honest take on where you kind of think Jason's gonna run in this tournament, Mike.
Well, I mean, you got to like him in Warren. You probably got to like him in the round of 32 as well, based on what's above or below him, unless he runs into a hot James Aranis. So, he's playing really well. But we've seen this movie before, right? Where he blazes through the winter qualification rounds, gets a tough draw in 64-32, and might get out a little bit earlier than you would think. This event here, I'm looking at who's around him, above and below him, and he looks like he's going to have some pretty good shots in the next couple rounds. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get to 16. It's an upset.
If he doesn't get to 16, it's a complete letdown, because it's got. Listen, Jason mentioned before, like you want to have a good draw to kind of get your arm loose. Listen, he's sitting on all cylinders, like we've seen in previous tournaments, even the U.S. Open for that matter. Where he was looking like he was on fire coming out of there earlier on, and then ended up disappearing in single elimination. But I agree with you. He's got a really good draw here, Mike, especially compared to how brutal he can get before. For me, I think it's like final 8 or bust, Mike. Maybe 16, but final 8 or bust. Anything less is going to be a disappointment. Jason was in the semifinals of this event last year, losing to Copenhagen. He's won this event before. I mentioned the crowd not being there to start the event. I fully expect it to get thicker, and that's going to favor Jason tremendously, Mike. I know conditions are not going to be in his favor, but atmosphere, condition, being able to process pressure, and then still perform at an elite, and I mean the elite of the elite level, is really going to go in Jason's favor. It's also going to be beneficial. We mentioned no co-brothers here at this tournament, so there's a lot less traps and landmines to go in that you're going to be dealing with as well, Mike. But the way that they've been promoting and pushing Jason, it's like we know he's going to be on this world team. I think you have to go deep if you're Jay. You have to go deep, and I fully expect him to in this tournament, Mike. He's a different animal when there's more people in the room. He just is, So let's see how that pulls out. Mickey Krause and Max Lechner also, Mike. That's going to be a great matchup as well, as I'm kind of scrolling.
Really good.
Other than that, Mike, I mean, there's not a ton of matches that I'm looking forward to in the round of 64. If I'm being honest with you, like every tournament, as it starts thickening up, 32, especially 16, that's when you're gonna start. Just buckle up, get your popcorn ready, or get your dinner ready,
Yeah.
depending on what time of the night it is out there or morning for out here. But I think it's got the makeup of being a great finish. To this point, it's just kind of been kind of like going through the motions a little bit, if that makes sense, Mike.
Yeah, no, absolutely it does. But most tournaments are like that, especially the 256. You kind of like, okay, give me to 64, then I'll start scoreboard watching, then get me to I'm dialed into matches. So
Give me like some obvious picks, Mike, that you're going to be looking at, and give me some not so obvious picks.
well, I mean, I'm looking at this. If you look at it from a bracket standpoint, I like where Yap sits to get to 16. Robbie Capito would be a tough spot along the way, but generally speaking, I like where he sits. Um, uh, you know, Federer, a couple rounds, you could be running into to Huang. That would be
Whoo!
that would
one,
be
they're
a
going
few.
to be there, Mike.
Yeah. So it looks like that would be around a 16 if they both won their first two matches. So that would be big time marquee. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. Um, your buddy Long.
Yeah, that's the guy. If I'm going for like what I would consider,
Maybe David Alcade. He's looking at maybe David Alcade in the round of 32. So we'll see where he goes from there.
let me ask you this, Mike, because listen, we know like the hints that come in through social media when it comes to Matchroom, right? And there's been a lot of push of David Alcade over the last couple of days. Any chance you think that he makes that world team, Mike? Especially considering the way that it's been the last few days.
Any chance? Who, David?
Yeah, David.
And if he goes and wins this thing, yeah, then he's got a really good chance. So,
well, but but there's going to be a lot of guys who don't win it that are going to make that team.
Yeah, before that, there's going to be one spot at the end for
fifth spot, which we both have Moritz at there going into the tournament, right? Taking that fifth spot,
right? So if Moritz falls in the round of 32, or and David wins the event, then who do you think Jason would pick? Right? Even though he's not the captain.
I was going to say.
Who do you think?
How you really feel, Mike?
Who would you think the powers that be would pick? If the last spot was between Moritz and David, and you could rationalize it either way.
I would like, if it's me, like I'm the one making the pick.
Well, yeah.
Okay. If I'm matching,
I know which way I would go, but we know the powers that be too.
Yeah.
And what would you say the odds are that Moritz would get picked over David?
I don't know today, Mike. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I do. I think it's I just.
One, if David won, he'd be a title winner, right?
Yeah. Listen, love David. I don't expect him to win, but he's always a threat and always goes deep in tournaments like this. You know what I mean? So, but given the social media chatter that I've seen and the way they've been kind of pushing him, that's where it leads me to think that like maybe there's more of a focus on David than what we expect. Now, obviously, we knew he was on the radar guard just given his experience and the way the political landscape that the field is, right? But like, I think today it's a little bit closer. But Moritz, if you're Moritz, you got to go and show out here. Like the job is not done yet. You're in a great spot, but you have to go and.
Well, if you look at where they're both at, they would, if they both kept winning out, they would play each other.
Whoo, man, really, Mike?
Yeah, if I'm reading this properly.
If they do end up matching out, if they do end up matching out, that's going to be the one for the spot.
5, 6, 7, and 8. If you look at matches 5, 6, 7, 8, those who would meet, So yeah, that would pretty much answer those questions, right?
Well, listen. Usually, whenever there's like some obvious juicy matchups, they never end up happening, Mike. Like
Yeah,
ever. You know. So,
do they?
like we always look for them, and we're always like, yeah, man, I hope it gets there, and then like it never does ever. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but obviously we'll continue to root for that matchup, and I think there'll be a lot of storylines if that is the case for sure. At least that's one that I'll be keeping an eye on. Listen, I'm rooting for some fresh blood in there, not to knock David or anything, because I know his experience and his skill set, and like John says in the chat, how consistent he is. But just to kind of change the waters a little bit, and especially considering the win that Moritz had at the period, that's where I would go that way. But like I said, I think it's still like it still can be a little crazy and chaotic, and I don't think any bets are safe at this point, Mike.
Oh, well,
So
I mean, if you look at those same matchups, you know, if they both win, your buddy will go on and play David in 32.
that's big, Mike, huge for both of them for that matter. I mean, like Huang's already in Manila. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
he's there. I think like the only pressure that he
I'm
has
talking
is
about
just
Wong Fei.
yeah.
Yeah,
Wait, say that
yeah.
again.
I'm talking about your new best Vietnamese player,
Well, I
Luong.
just think that Huang just is not playing with the same pressures of trying to make a team. In my opinion, I think he's locked up.
Right,
So like
right.
the pressures that are coming from him are performing under the home crowd. You know what I mean? And how brutal. And listen, those fans can be brutal on him as well. I mean, like really tough on him. Like
Yeah, no, it's
sports
tough
fans
playing in
can
front of
be.
your home crowd. We saw
Yeah,
that last year with Chua in Manila. You could tell that he had a lot of pressure on himself to try to perform in front of Filipino fans.
give me a couple. I'll give you like give me three winners, Mike, out of 64.
3 winners out of 64.
Yeah. And
Three
I'll
winners.
I'll open it up. I'll open it up to
I would
whoever.
go with,
If you want to go filler Shane and Federer, I'm fine with it, Mike, because I know how you always roll.
well, considering Shane and Filler aren't here, it's going to be a little bit tough to pull that one off. But listen, I'll go with Jason. Yep,
Okay, I like it.
Jason. Yep, and I'll
Mike,
throw a flyer on Moritz.
if Chua and Carlo win, are in 64? Are they playing each other in 32? Because I can't see that part of the bracket
Chua.
with my computer right here right now. I
Yeah,
don't know
so
why.
Chua. Let's see. Chua winner goes to 40. So no, Chua goes up.
Okay, so they're going to different spots. Okay, that's what I was curious about. Look, I'm gonna go
Yeah,
with
Chua would run into Raga a couple rounds in if he kept winning. Carlo would face Lucas in the next round if they both made it to 32. Yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, that part, if I'm reading this bracket correctly, that part of the bracket must not be.
all right. So who do you got? You got Jay. You got Jay. You got who else?
Yap and
Okay.
Moritz. Yeah, look at me. I picked two freaking Europeans out of a field where there's like a 0% chance there's not going to be an Asian winner.
Well, we can officially dub it the Panozzo curse for sure. Look, I think, Mike, this event has got the makeup for like complete chaos, conditions, pressure, atmosphere, all these things, and I think it's gonna it's gonna really highlight certain players and their ability to handle it, and then it's also going to expose a lot of players as well. And the pressure, the situation, the atmosphere, I think is going to expose a lot of Europeans, in my opinion, Mike. I'm going to go a little outside the box here with my first pick. I'm going to go with Anton, Mike. I'm going to go with
Okay.
Anton. Obviously, we know what his ceiling is. We know he hasn't lived
Yeah.
up to it by any means on a matchroom stage. But listen, he lives, he breathes, he eats playing in tough conditions, being out there in the Philippines. I think he can handle playing against any name player. I don't think he's a trap by any means. I think I don't put him in an A1 category, but he's right below it. So And even if you look at things like Fargo and whatever else, number two though, Mike, it's tough. I mean, it's really really tough. I'm gonna go with Yap. Kind of the same thing, poised. I think he just loves to win, and I think he's just used to winning. I think he's gotten comfortable winning, and I think like there's no pressure on him right now. And when you combine no pressure along with him,
I like it. Yeah, I like his section of the bracket too.
yeah, that's what I was looking at as well. When I'm looking at who's around him and below him, so I'm gonna go with and look,
Robbie's there, but it takes him a while to get to who someone you would consider to be top 10.
well, look, we saw Yap kind of struggle a little bit early on, at least from a scoreline standpoint. So like that's and listen, never mind the fact that like how impossible it is to win three matchroom events in a row or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So like the odds are not going to be in his favor. So from that part, I'm
No,
kind of
not
like
at
talking
all.
myself out of it a little bit, But um, the last one that I'm going with, Mike, is
You're going with a Vietnamese player, aren't you?
you know what? I'll tell you what, I will. I will. I'm gonna go with the end. I'm gonna go with the end. I like listen, I think the kid just is steady and I'm thinking about about trends, Mike, when I think about this kid and those things considered, playing with pride, pressure, wanting to make a statement, all these things, I'm gonna go with Tien. So Tien, Yap, and Rog are gonna be my picks on this one. Now they're probably all gonna go out in 32, and then we'll have to regroup. But
If
um,
Dan, if Dan gets if Dan gets there, he'll earn it because he would have to, if you went chalk on the other matches, he would have to go through David and Moritz.
I
Uh,
think he
you
can, Mike. Honest to God, I do.
know, 16 or yeah, something like that. Yeah.
The one thing
So
that I thoroughly appreciate about those guys you mentioned, Mike, and like we talked about to start the show, is just how they can fare like they can weather conditions. They know how to adapt, and so that's where you would definitely put more of a nod on those Europeans as well. Never mind the fact that Moritz is like coming off a massive win in the Perry, so like. And by the way, beating tough Asian players in the process, so like he knows what to do and how to do it. So, but it's gonna make for a fun ending right now to this point, I've been kind of just picking and choosing matches that I've been watching, Mike. And but like I said, kudos to Matchroom for really grinding through the last 2 days because for me that was like the unsung hero is like how much of a team effort that it's taken considering the adversity that they face over like that first day and the weather and all those things, Mike. Because that is listen, I've run a little bit of a tournament before where like we've had 100 and I think 80 players out there in Sacramento before. It's fucking brutal, man. I mean, it's a grind, and that's trying to grind through a couple days. So like to be able to
the other
navigate TV and everything else,
I
fuck.
I haven't heard any players bitching in social, you know, matches being doubled up or all the kind of last minute changes and scheduling and things like that. I haven't heard any complaints. So looks like everybody's playing ball to get this done, which is great.
Yeah, yeah, and that's not listen. That is not easy to do to get players not complaining. I mean, like outside of the conditions, which besides the air conditioning in the room, like Mother Nature is what it is. You know what I mean? And you knew that going into the region, like what that possibility was going to be like. But I agree with you, Mike. And to be honest with you, like I wouldn't mind seeing more of this. I wouldn't mind seeing it be so like intense. In other words, like chop off a day and let's really push through like they did today because it's been a little bit of fun scoreboard watching like intently from beginning to end of the night and then the morning. Mike, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas like
Yep.
before, there's gaps and there's lulls and it's like okay, I'm
Yeah.
not really interested in this round right now. You know what I mean?
Played one
So
match today. I don't play again until tomorrow night. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So it's been a fun dynamic. Now, listen, on their budget and in terms of people working, hours and I don't know what that's like. So I mean, I don't know if that's even feasible. But the last couple of days have been pretty enjoyable. And listen, for all the events coming up, from the Women's World 10 Ball Championship to the Men's World 8 Ball, and then even the Hanoi Open, it's going to be a fun weekend ending this week, Mike, because
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of intensity, a lot of money being exchanged, a lot of action, a lot of uh, people like with something to prove, and a lot of announcements. I'm guessing too in terms of Reyes and all these things. So Anyhow,
But
Mike,
yeah,
I asked you this one time. Go ahead.
no. Well, Reyes, what we do know. I was thinking, it'd be nice to announce Huang this week or whatever, but they can't even talk about that until they get the automatic pick, the second automatic pick in place, right? Which is still up for grabs for Team Rest of the World, and Team Asia. I thought Yep was a lock, but they haven't.
No, he's a lock, Mike. He's a lock.
Posted.
You want to bet that?
I thought he was a lock by money, but so that if that's the case, then why hasn't he been announced? Is my thing. He's more than he's 130,000 ahead of third place. So why hasn't he been formally announced?
Yeah, I mean,
because then if you did that, you could name a wild card this week, and you couldn't make everybody in Vietnam hyper, just crazy.
I think it's still going to happen. I think they've just been kind of scrambling a little bit. I fully expect it to. Both those guys are going to be on that team along with Chua and Carlo, and then the fifth one. That's the one that I'm curious about because of the Cobra situation.
You got a lot of players in there, especially Filipinos, who have a shot to really, make themselves hard to not pick as a third Filipino, right?
Yeah, I don't know, Mike. I don't know because
I think number 6 right now are Rhoda and Regulario, and number 4 is Kopin Yi, so he's out. All right, so if Rhoda or Regulario has a really good tournament here, they're a solid number 4 in the Asian rankings.
I think the only those two guys in particular, not just in particular, but those two guys are going to have to get an automatic spot at this point because I'd be shocked if the only outside Filipino that I thought would have a chance would just be AJ, only because of how much Matchroom pushes his social, loves his social media following. That's the only one that I thought would have an outside chance of making this. Other guys.
Here's where I'm going with it is that the Cole brothers are out, right?
Well, I don't know. So, I hope not.
Yeah, no, they're out.
You think they're out?
They're out.
Wait. So time out. I'm not gonna let you off the hook like that. What do you mean they're out? What do you know something?
I'm not saying I know something, but I'm saying if anybody else who's not there is out, they're out. If Shane's out because he's not there, and Filler's out because he's not there, these guys got to be out because they're not there, right? So so I'm saying if that's the case, if I'm right and they're out, who's your number 5 that's so can't miss either from social media or following standpoint or playing wins that would jump over Rhoda or Regulario if they were a really solid number 4? Pick one. Naoki Oi?
No.
I don't see anybody else. I don't see anybody else that has that matchroom value to them that they would pick.
Hold on. Now I'm going to bring up the rankings here, and I'm going to look because now you got me fucking curious a little bit here. Hold on. Let me see here. So Rhoda's sitting.
So you've got another 5, and if you eliminate the 2 goes, which I'm doing for sake of argument, who would be a matchroom pick?
AJ, welcome to Team Asia, buddy. Congratulations, my man. You're in, buddy. I think they probably listed. Look, let me tell you something, Mike. You're going to see on this world them going way down on rankings. They are going to go way down on rankings to announce some rest of the world players. I mean, way, 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 way down on rankings to announce some rest of the world team players. So
basically, so what they're going to pick is a Filipino player like AJ when there are 8 other Filipino players ranked higher than him.
Welcome to the world, man, boys.
You must have some kind of social media draw to be able to make that kind of jump.
It's that thirsty, Mike. It is that thirsty. Trust me, it is. It absolutely is. I know it's brutal. Listen, I'm not even arguing from a listen. I've said it for a long time. I think that the way they push that kid without having won, in my opinion, anything is brutal, especially for these other guys. Because I love watching Bernie play. I love watching Rhoda play. You know what I mean? But like, they're not moving the needle. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you're gonna tell me the Cole brothers are out, I'm going AJ. You're in, buddy. You're in for sure.
The only other one from that standpoint, the only other one to me that I would rationalize picking over a Bernie or a Rhoda. I mean, Bernie's got some cachet.
Yeah. It's close. It's close.
I would think maybe Robbie. If Robbie has a decent tournament here, they like him a lot. He's got some style. He's good looking. He's outgoing, that type of thing. He's got a good game. I would,
I mean, I get it, Mike. But I listen.
There's the only Filipino that I would think has a shot at this point.
Who? Robbie?
Yeah.
I just don't know that I can get there. Let me ask you this: if you were going to go and put a number on it, what percentage chance do you think that there's not a co-brother in the Reyes Cup?
98.
Wow, Mike, are you serious? How come you're barely telling me this now? On you never told me this off camera before. I didn't know you were this. I don't know you were carrying this much heat with you.
We talked about this the other day. That listen, if you can't treat the Cole brothers differently than you're going to treat Shane, differently than you're going to treat the filler, different. If you're not there, you're not there, and they're not there.
Okay, so I'm gonna indulge the conversation for a second then. Now, okay. How are you feeling if you're Shane and Filler and these guys if the Cole brothers get on, and Carlo for that matter, because he was forced to go play Hanoi?
That's why they can't do it. That's why they do it. And how would you feel if you were Carlo and they told you couldn't play in the World 8 Ball, which you wanted to play in and which you signed up for because you had to be there to be in the night? So by virtue of those, you can't treat the Cole brothers any differently.
Look, here you go. This was one that I was thinking of right here. Listen, come on, Mike. Come on.
No.
Indulge. You wouldn't want to see it, though? Would you want to see it?
No. This is not a sideshow. This is something they're trying to build.
It is a sideshow. What are we talking about here? It is. It's the epitome of a sideshow.
It is, but it's something they're trying to build into something as big as the Mosconi Cup. And, you just don't do that if you're trying to build something. If you've already built it and you want to stick Earl Strickland in for grins, go ahead and do it because it's already got 3,000 fans. But if you're building it,
I think there's like short-sighted decisions that are made already. So I think you might as well fuck it. I get what you're saying. Look, I would.
There's more money for winners than losers this year, right? Is that what you heard?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yep.
Okay.
That's what I heard.
So if I'm on Team Asia and there's critical matches and they're throwing Efren up there, I'm not happy.
There was a $20,000 difference the year they brought in Earl for the Mosconi Cup, and Earl had no business being on that team on merit.
Yeah, but U.S. was not the favorite in that. Asia's the favorite in here. They're expecting the bigger money.
Listen, I want
the Americans already knew they were getting second place.
I want to end this show and start a whole new show just talking about this. Is what I want to do because this is a whole other layer to the onion here, Mike. If I'm being honest with you, like, are you gonna? What's your schedule like this week, buddy?
Where's MV? Tomorrow, say sure. We won't be until Tuesday. What is today?
No. There's too much shit going on. I have to. Yeah.
I'm around.
Look, I don't know how you would leave somebody off of Taiwan. I cannot wrap my head around the idea.
Who are the top Taiwanese players? Ko out. Wu Kunlin out. Okay, how deep are you going to go just to have a Taiwanese player? Yulong
No,
Chang?
no. It's them or bust. I mean, you're not putting Yulong Chang on that team. No disrespect to Yulong. He's a phenomenal player, but you're not going for
things out because they're not in Hanoi. That's what I'm saying.
If the Cole brothers are out, AJ's in. Then is what I would say, because they're like, you're playing in Manila. Ticket sales were already what they were last year, right? You need some boost, right? You need to get pumped up, right? You need to get some social media eyes on there. I listen. I'm not talking about how great that he plays compared to other Filipinos, because that's a separate conversation.
Let me read off the list of Filipino players ranked higher than AJ Manis.
Okay.
Michael Feliciano. Or no, he's not. I lied. Harry Vergara.
I fucking put Michael in there.
X44, baby. Patrick Gonzalez, Jeffrey Ignacio, Lee Van Corteza, James Aranis, Michael Buchanan, Bernie Regulario, and Jeffrey Rhoda. So you go ahead and pick the guy underneath all those in the Philippines and tell me these other guys are going to be delighted.
Look,
they're going to come in your neck.
No, well,
they're going to be happy to pony up the Philippines Open.
Let me break some news for you, Mike. Okay, they don't mind shitting on players for the sake of getting a splash today. You know, because look, and you're gonna see that in terms of the players that are gonna get announced for the rest of the world team. You're gonna see there's a lot of players who, on merit and even on other things, who have played better than the players that are gonna get announced. So
we all know
precedent is already set.
We all know that, but what I'm saying is these other Filipino players that they bank on to come in droves to their tournaments these days are not going to be happy if AJ Manis jumps over all because he's got more followers.
We'll see.
And they are not going to be as excited in the future to play your game.
We need to find out if the Cole brothers are going to be on that team or not, Mike. Well, we need to actually do some work.
And they ain't going to be on the team. You can't play both sides to the middle. You can't do it unscathed. Can't do it.
Look, we'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm already fired up for tomorrow's show, Mike, already, because I want to keep on going. I want to keep on going off the air here on this topic.
Okay.
Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Check out WNT Live Scores, WNT TV.
Hour and 22, man.
That's the longest show we fucking ever had. Check out Pro Berry TV for World Championships as well. Listen,
it's
AJ's
like
getting
Shane's
signed for a uniform, buddy.
What's that?
And hey, by the way, I could probably make a team full of snub players that could probably beat the rest of the world team. I'm just saying. Anyhow, I'll see all you guys later. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll for sure be back tomorrow. Later, y'all.